Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Municipality of Monroeville's regular council meeting. Today is Tuesday, August 11th, 2015, approximately 7 p.m. And before we rise for the Lord's Prayer and Pledge of Allegiance, make sure all your phones are on mute or off, if you would, please. If we all kindly rise now for the Lord's Prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mayor Arsenko?
Here.
Mrs. Gatos?
Here.
Dr. Griesbach?
Here.
Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Johns?
Here.
Mr. Caleri?
Here.
Mr. Duncan?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Mr. Little?
Here.
Mr. Dice?
Here.
Mr. Lally?
Here.
Mr. Hugus?
Here.
Mr. Sedlak?
Here.
And right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to open up for public comment on the proposed agenda items only. Just what's on the agenda. Seeing none, we'll close that proportion of the meeting. And I'd just like to have an announcement. Council conducted an executive session for personnel litigation reasons prior to Citizens Night on August 6, 2015, beginning at 6:45 p.m. and ending at 7 p.m. And before tonight's council meeting, beginning at 6:45 p.m., council's legislative action, if any, shall be taken tonight at the August 11, 2015 council meeting. And one more note, ladies and gentlemen, we did have another executive session this evening from 6:45 to 7, and if any action on any item discussed, then it was for personnel and legal reasons that will be addressed this evening. Council for review our minutes of the Citizens Night meeting of July 9th, 2015, council work session of July 9th, 2015, and the regular council meeting of July 14th, 2015. Are there any other additions or corrections? Seeing none, is there a motion on the floor?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
I abstain.
And moving over to the approval of the reports of our tax collections, once again, council, any additions or corrections?
wasn't here.
Seeing none, is there a motion on the floor?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
And moving over to our payroll report, once again, council, any additions or corrections? Seeing none, is there a motion on the floor?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
And moving over our list of bills and budget transfers, Linda, we'll start off with you. Any issues?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Nick?
No additions, Mayor.
Ron?
Nothing.
Jim?
Nothing, sir.
Paul?
No, sir.
Steve? No. And Tom? Motion on the floor?
Motion approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
And moving over to our vacancies on boards, commissions, and authorities, are there any appointments or nominations?
I do.
Please.
I would like to appoint Jason Hitchman to Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. That's all I have.
Approved. Any other appointments or nominations, council? Seeing none, we'll move over to the new business. And Tim, if you would, please.
Okay, Mayor, we have three approvals this evening. One is for a site plan approval, one is for a conditional use, and one is for a final subdivision for Amiyamaya Organization of Pittsburgh. The first is an applicant requesting site plan approval to construct 8,419 square feet church and associated site amenities. The property is located at 351 Old Haymaker Road in the M1 Planned Industrial and R2 Single Family Residential Zoning District.
Motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments?
Oh, yes, Mayor.
Yes.
Joe, could you put that image up? We had a question on Thursday about R2 zones. This is a map of Monroeville. The yellow areas are R2 zones throughout Monroeville. Might be difficult to see, but there are stars throughout that. Because the question was, churches are conditional uses. They are permitted in R2 zones, and that's what we're voting on here, and that's what we're working on. A lot of other things are also allowed as per condition in the R2 zones: golf courses, public schools, recreational centers, I think timbering operations, a bunch of things. But we're specifically talking about churches. My question was, on Thursday, are there other churches that are found in R2s? And a quick search was about 23 at least throughout Monroeville are found in R2 zones. So this map shows that the stars are the churches throughout, and the vast majority of churches are actually found in R2s. So I just wanted to get that information out to everybody.
And Doctor, one more thing. There's actually 31 facilities and 23 of them are in the R2s.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other comments, council? There is a motion and a second. Any other further questions? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Hi.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns? Aye. Mr. Clary? Aye. Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Tim, if you would.
Okay, item number 2 is the same Amiyamaya Organization of Pittsburgh. It's for conditional use hearing and the same address and property and zoning district apply. Do we have a motion?
Motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Second. Questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Little.
Okay, and the third item is the same Amiyamaya organization. Applicants requesting final subdivision approval for parcel 855-K-201 and partial 855-K-381 to create Lot 1R totaling 1.11 acres and Lot 2 totaling 0.24 acres, same address and same zoning district.
Motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or, please.
Mr. Yugas?
Yes,
Would
ma'am.
this be the property, the .24, is that where the home is existing right now?
Yes.
And then the other would be just the balance of the two pieces parcels becoming one where they can build their...
That's correct. They're
House of worship.
rearranging the lot line for the parcel to create a bigger lot for the place of worship versus the single-family home.
Okay, and then, but the single-family home stays as a single-family home? They can't do anything else there without coming
That's
for a
correct.
change? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, one other one.
Yes.
The home is not tax exempt, correct?
I
That is correct. That
That
was
is
discussed
correct.
Thursday. That was discussed at length Thursday.
Just confirming.
Any other questions or comments, council? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
And we'll move over to our motions, and Tim, if you would.
Yeah, we have two motions. A motion to appoint a non-uniform employee to the OPEB Trust Committee. Council has received 3 candidates. It's council's call under ordinance number 2124 to appoint a non-uniform employee.
And if you remember, council.
Where is the list of candidates?
I'm sorry.
We had three candidates that I sent council in an email. We had Darlene Cole, we had Liz Summers, and we had Paul Estock.
I would like to nominate Darlene Cole.
There's a motion and a second.
Was there a second?
Yeah.
Is Mr. Wilson made a motion. I don't know who made the second.
Ron, Mr. Harvey, did you make a second?
I'll
I
second.
believe they made the same motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I,
Okay, just one.
well, there's now a motion and a second. Questions or comments?
Are we making a motion to,
Point.
Point Darlene
point?
Cole to go.
Point Darlene Cole.
okay.
Yeah.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Are we past question?
I asked for questions, nobody said anything.
I don't understand how this is being presented, but aye.
Mr. Clary.
Aye.
Mr. John.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Tim, if you would.
Okay, item number 2 is what I mentioned to council at the work session on Thursday evening. This is the 2015 leasing for 3 police vehicles and 2 snowplow trucks, and I had 3 quotes, and the lowest quote was from First National Bank. So I'm requesting a motion to accept the terms and conditions of an agreement with First National Bank, FNB, for a lease purchase agreement for 3 2016 Ford Utility Interceptors with upfitting kits for a 3-year term at 1.52% rate for an annual payment of $38,421.31 for a total of $113,626.59, and 2 2016 Mack GU 712 dump trucks and hoppers at a 1.81% rate for an annual payment of $74,197.50 for a total of $357,924.74 for a grand total of $471,551.33.
I want you
This-
to read that quickly. I'm kidding.
I thought I did pretty good there.
Could you repeat that?
These payments will be taken out of the Capital Improvement Fund.
Tim, why would,
Well, before we go to questions, let's go for a motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Open now for discussion.
why would there be 2 interest rates?
Because there's 2 different terms.
Oh, okay.
Any questions on this motion before you? Roll call, Sharon.
No, I kind of want to go back to Ron's question.
Okay.
I understand there's 2 different terms. Why? Is it just because one's vehicles and one's big vehicles?
Well, both 911 Leasing and PNC and FNB, they all gave it that way. Okay, I gave them the specs and everything, and I wanted the Mack trucks in 5 years, in a 5-year term, and now if I would have had it in a 3-year term, I mean, I can't speak, if the rate would be different, but it's a 5-year term, and one's a 3-year term for police vehicles. Police
It's
vehicles-
the amount of years.
I don't believe it's
Amount of
listed
years.
as 5-year term.
I'd have to say 1.52%, that's a remarkable.
I was very pleased with the
Wish I
rates.
could get that on one of my vehicles.
I was very pleased with the rates.
I think we'd all agree with that. Any other, I'm
Sign
sorry.
me up.
Yeah,
Any
Mr.
other questions?
So
or
it's a
comments?
3-year term and a 5-year
Please, Nick.
term, and that's just not, I didn't see that in here.
Yeah,
Yeah, Mr. Little, yeah, just clarify that, 'cause I don't believe,
The trucks are 5-year?
the trucks are 5 years.
okay.
Any other questions or comments?
No, just as long as we know, because it's not listed as 5-year. in
Oh, I'm sorry, that's,
motion.
okay, my fault, that's an omission.
We just need to
on my
add
part.
that to the-
Okay,
Yes. Is that an amendment?
Yeah, add that
Just
to
a
the
correction.
okay, my fault.
That's just typical.
Any other questions or comments, council? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Duncan.
Yes.
Mr. Clary.
Yes.
Mr. John.
Yes.
Mr. Harvey.
Yes.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye,
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Thank you, too, down there.
straighten it out.
We'll move over to resolutions.
Okay, resolutions, we have one resolution, and we discussed this at the Thursday work session. It's a resolution amending the fund balance policy under the Government Finance Officers Association and the Governmental Accounting Standards Boards.
Motion on the floor, council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Mr. John.
Aye.
Mr. Clary.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
What happened to yes? Bruce, if you would.
Yes, there's one ordinance tonight, an ordinance of the municipality of Monroeville electing to amend the municipal pension plan administered by the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement System pursuant to Article 4 of the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement Law, agreeing to be bound by all the provisions of the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement Law as amended and as applicable to member municipalities.
As we discussed on Thursday, let's do this here. It's still a motion to looking for a motion still to table because the wall's still being worked on.
Motion to
make-
table?
Second.
Questions or comment? Oh, there are none. Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
I'm not
Yes.
going for it this time.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Grieslock?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
All righty, and now we'll move over to reports of our municipal staff. And Bruce, any words of wisdom?
I have nothing else to report.
Tim, you have a couple items you want to discuss?
Yeah, Mayor, I think you mentioned, or someone mentioned about the Jazz Festival coming up on August the 22nd. Joe, if you can put that up on the screen. The Monroeville Jazz Festival is going to be on August 22nd, and I don't know what this is the 13th annual, I believe it is, just so everybody knows about that. Okay, and also the second item is the Gateway Gallop 5K race and 1 mile family fun walk, which is going to be on October the 4th, and this is sponsored by the Gateway Foundation. And Joe, you have that up there. Okay. And one item I do not have on there is that I'm not sure if we have donated to the Gateway Football Booster Association. Council has at their stations this evening. If they wanted to look at that, if they wanted to take any action on that this evening, the amounts to donate for their program are listed. If council wanted to take any action on it, they're obviously free to do so.
Council, what's your flavor? You all have a copy in front of you.
I would like to recommend we support the team.
Mr. Little, what have we done in the past for different sides?
I think a quarter page is what we maybe have done in the past. I'm not definite about that. Usually that's what we do.
That'd be acceptable for council, a quarter page.
It is for me.
Me too.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, quarter page is good.
So do we make a motion?
I like to make
Yeah,
a
let's
motion.
make a motion on the
Yeah.
floor.
Accept the quarter page,
Yes.
Second.
$65.
Second.
Motion and a second, correct?
Yes, second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Grieslock?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
And Paul, any words of wisdom from you, sir, from
No,
our
sir.
engineering? And how about you, Sean?
No, sir.
We'll move over now to public comments on any item that you would like to address council. This is your time, so please come on up, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me preface my remark by saying, before I came, I called yesterday I spoke with the borough secretary, I guess it's the borough secretary, and asked if I could come and make a comment. I'm not a resident of Monroeville.
And you cannot, sir. You can submit it in writing to myself or the manager.
All right, that's what I'll do then. It concerns the Monroeville Mosque.
I understand, sir, but you can submit it in writing again to myself or to Mr. Little.
Okay, thank you.
Have a great evening. Would anybody else like to address council? Please, come on up. Please sign in, state your name for the record. I don't believe we've ever seen you, sir, up here before.
Yeah, I'm a newbie.
New face?
My name is Robert Serafini. I am a resident of Monroeville. I just wanted to say that last month's planning meeting was tabled concerning the senior citizens home that's being proposed on Northern Pike. I would like to have anybody who has anything to say come up and talk on this month's meeting, the planning. I talked with Paul, and he says it's going to be on the agenda again. And I'd like to have everybody from Turnpike Gardens come up, and even if they just want to stand up here and say no, I would appreciate that. I just want to make sure that they're here on Wednesday, the 19th,
At 7, is the meeting at 7:30, Mr.
7
Dugas?
o'clock.
7:30.
7:30.
It's,
I thought they were, no, they are at 7:30. I
Yeah.
am sorry. Thanks,
7:30.
Linda.
you're welcome.
But like I said, I'd like to have everybody up here. I am a senior citizen, and like I said, I'm voting no on it, and I hope everybody votes no on it, and I'd like to have all kind of people come up and say the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we'll leave it open for any comment to council. Seeing none, we'll close that proportion of the meeting. We'll go over to reports of our council. And Linda, I'm going to pick on you first.
Okay. I just want to remind everyone about the recognition of the members of the Monroeville Senior Citizen Center. If you're not already a member, you can join, and every day this week they're showing their appreciation for the memberships. They have a lot of wonderful programs, so if you have the opportunity, please go by. If you aren't a member, maybe you consider becoming one. And the only other thing I have was brought to my attention because the resident called because they had an issue is, please remember, we pay for our streetlights whether they're on or not, and if they're not, let someone know because you're paying for them out of your tax dollars anyway. So let's keep our streets lighted up, and you're paying for it anyhow, so let somebody know. With that, that's all I have.
Nick?
Oh, yes, Mayor, a few announcements here. Shakespeare in the Park is being presented, this Friday and Saturday, the 14th and 15th from 7 to 9. They're doing The Winter's Tale by Poor York's Players. They are at the Tall Trees Amphitheater at the community park, so come on out for a nice evening tomorrow night, 7 p.m. And, I'm sorry, it's Friday, not tomorrow. Friday, August 14th, Saturday, August 15th, 7 to 9 p.m. The last summer concert series is this Sunday. 8th Street Rocks is playing.
Yay.
They are a very popular local band. They will be starting at 6:30 to 8:30. Same thing at the Tall Trees Amphitheater. Once again, the summer concert series has been sponsored by UPMC East, and we really appreciate their support for this wonderful series. So come on out for the last one this Sunday, 6:30 to 8:30 at the amphitheater. Also on Sunday, Monroeville United Methodist Church once again is celebrating their 60th birthday party. It's from noon to 3, rain or shine. They're serving food. They're going to have games and fun. It's free for everybody. It's a community event. So please come out and help them celebrate their 60th birthday here in Monroeville. That is also being held at the community park. However, it'll be at the Pavilions 2 and 4. If you're driving down Tilbrook, it is the second entrance to the community park. That's where the pavilions are. They'll be well marked with balloons and traffic, so come on out then. And very briefly, I want to bring up Lyme disease because Dr. Karen Murphy, the PA Secretary of Health, and Dr. Karen Hacker, the Allegheny County Health Department Director, urge residents to protect themselves for ticks and better understand Lyme disease. Lyme disease is a bacterial infection that is carried by the black-legged tick, which is a deer tick, transmitted from animals to humans. Old information was that, well, if you're out in the woods or if you're in tall grass, that's what you have to stay away from. But it's really becoming an epidemic here in Pennsylvania, in Allegheny County. Actually, Pennsylvania now, for the past 5 years, has had the most cases reported to the CDC in the United States. So we are surpassing Lyme County, Connecticut, where it first was recognized. So it's a very important thing. However, it's very treatable, very preventable, and you don't have to be hiking in the woods to be bit by a tick. They are in our backyards. They are not necessarily just carried by deer, but also by mice, rabbits, small rodents. It's a very, very difficult disease to deal with. So we're trying to get this information out. I'm going to try to get some of the information from the Allegheny Health Department on our website, and we can better recognize this and prevent it. And finally,
Sunlight.
condolences to Tina Mueller and her family. She lost her mother this week. Grace Cackleys, she a longtime volunteer and member at the Monroeville Senior Citizen Center, also a member of its Monroeville Senior Council, Senior Council for years. She was quite a spunky one. I was happy to know her, and she will be missed by many. That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you. Ron?
Yes, you'll be happy to know that I don't have everything that I normally do because of a health problem in the family. I kind of mustered these notes together at the last minute, but I am sure all of you, matter of fact, I've pretty much heard it up here several times in different wards. I was wondering if there was something council could send on to the departments in the municipality for enforcing these homes that are leaving their properties look like dumps. And I say it that way because that's what this one, the first house on Logan's Ferry on the right, needs some code enforcement, seriously. I've gotten calls from residents, from neighbors, people that drive by it. I went over and looked at it. And I'm requesting, not just them. I know there's other places in Monroeville, and I think if we, for lack of better terms, drop the hammer on people that let their properties go, that they would send a message out that we're not just going to let them do that. And there's people and neighbors that are concerned about health issues, let alone just its appearance and the way it looks in the neighborhood. So I don't know if council needs to do something officially. I'm requesting that management and the appropriate departments, maybe tighten the belt on this, and if they have ordinance violations, cite them, and go from there.
Ron.
Maybe if we get more stricter.
Can I speak about that?
You sure can.
The code enforcement officer has cited them 3 times now. We've been to the magistrate twice. The homeowner has not showed up. They were found guilty twice. They were fined, but they can't pay the fine. So the magistrate puts them on a payment plan. So we're at our limits of what we can do, because we've gone through, given them the violation notice, sent them the citation, went to the magistrate, found them guilty. They pay their fine in increments, but they still haven't abated the problem.
Yeah,
Now,
maybe I came across.
now
a little-
becomes the issue of, do we go in their property and clean it up? But now you have a resident that, the landowner, do you have the right to go in the property, clean it up? What do they tell you to get off? And now, the property still is a mess, but we've gone through the system that we have to go through.
Well, can't they keep being fined on like a daily basis or something,
You know what,
and then
but
lien the
those-
property if necessary?
But that's set by the magistrate.
But if they're not doing it, then it sounds to me like we got to come down a little harder on it.
Interrupt for a second. I've had that problem with a couple different people. And what I've found is there are certain folks that just leave it go. And they get fined and they say, okay, I'm going to pay the fine. I'm not going to cut my grass. I'm not going to clean it up. I'll pay the fine. Then there's other folks, like he's saying here, they're paying it in increments and nothing happens. I also had a resident, and Paul would probably remember this. We went through this. Sent a team over there and he threw them off the property. It's my property. I don't allow you on my property. So, it's like a no-win situation. I don't know how you resolve it.
Because ultimately for us, usually when you get to the magistrate's level, they either clean it up or you get fined, and then they clean it up. In this case, they're found guilty. They don't even show up at the hearing.
Well, let me say this, in the particular house I'm talking about right now, it was way worse than it was. You could tell something happened, that you guys did something, because the
Yes.
front,
This has been going on since last year.
but the place in the back, and it's still a dump.
That's right. And again, it's been ongoing since last year. We go through the legal process, but it doesn't get it cleaned up.
Well, Paul, that's why I'm asking, can we not add another step of like a daily fine, and whether they're paying that in increments for the next 10 years?
But again,
We have to make some kind of statement, because that's not fair to the other property owners around that home.
I don't disagree with you, but fines are set by the magistrate, not by the municipality.
So, Mr. Dice, there's nothing that can be done from our end.
A code, an ordinance, or something?
Well, here's the problem. You could go in and seek a court injunction to get it cleaned up. And the same thing's going to happen. You're going to be down in front of some judge, and the homeowner's going to say, I don't have the money to clean it up. And the judge is going to say, well, that's not acceptable, we'll give you 60 days. Be back here in 60 days, back down in 60 days. Still nothing. You get into a situation where there's just you're going to spend more money in attempting to get it resolved than to go over and just cut the grass and lien the property for grass cutting.
That's what I'm saying, but at least lien it.
We have a grass cutting ordinance.
Yeah, they
But,
do that.
but understand, these people.
This is
have
not
a-
just grass.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
but these residents have a track record here of not being good citizens. So if you go on their property and tempers escalate, the police have been there multiple times.
Would this, what was proposed, the Gateway kind of shot us down with the
Land bank.
land bank, wouldn't that help out a lot
No, those are just,
with the
That's
situation?
empty.
Wouldn't apply.
This is occupied.
These are vacant.
This one's occupied.
occupied.
This particular property is occupied. And it
but yes,
is-
Steve, but Steve, in the case of vacant homes that are in the same dire repair, yes.
That's where I have in the
absolutely,
sixth
yeah.
ward, I have a lot of issues with vacant homes,
Right.
that who do you contact and what do you
Right.
do?
That's
there?
where a land bank
And,
would.
and I agree with you, Ron, it is more than just grass. It is debris, the cars up on blocks. I mean, it's.
Pallets,
there's
they're
junk in the
gutters.
backyard. Oh, yeah. It's
But
a
we
lot.
do have ordinances, if there's a car that's not inspected and up on blocks in the front yard or wherever,
Right.
then our police can actually,
No, it's on private property. If it's on the street, the police can enforce it, but it's on
and I
private
thought
property.
if it was on front yards and it's not inspected,
If there's a vehicle on your property and it's uninspected and unlicensed, you'll get a notice from my group.
But I think if I
how do we
recall
enforce it?
correctly, that
Right,
if
you
you
go
don't
to
have
the
the right
magistrate.
documents on that vehicle, it's now considered abandoned. And if the police give a 30-day notice, they can tow it, they can have it removed.
If so.
I'm thinking back now, I'm not
On private property.
anywhere.
Well, Doug, what do you think?
No.
I'm telling,
Okay, well, we have
Doug,
the
come
chief.
on up here, chief.
Chief saying one thing and the sergeant saying something else.
Well, if they can afford to have it towed, how about they get their grass cut?
I mean, the way it's always done, and we do it, it's on private property of another. So if people leave a car in a parking lot of some other property, we tag it as abandoned, and then we can tow it after 48 hours.
that's probably what I'm
And then
thinking
the-
of.
then the
Somebody leaves
magistrate
something
or
in the
then
Miracle Mile or
Yes, correct, Ron. If it's on their own private property, they have to be the victim to ask us to make it abandoned, and we can't just take it off their property. If it is on the highway, publicly maintained roadway from berm to berm, we can enforce it, i.e. by tagging it and towing it. If it's not inspected, we can tow it immediately. Well, we give them 48 hours anyway, just to be on the safe side, then we can tow it, and we can remove the car. But when it's on private property, his own private property.
So my
we can-
report here.
So we can all park our vehicles in our yards and just let them sit there like a junkyard, right?
The zoning department has an
We
enforcement, they can
we
cite
can go
you.
through the process, which
Yeah.
you're gonna get a citation, you're gonna end up at the magistrate, which is the process we have gone through.
Yeah, they do.
And the magistrate finds them guilty.
So when you have people that don't care about what the magistrate says, i.e. this one, I don't
So
know
be it.
where you go next. you
So
know.
be it, right?
Most people would want to not get that fine.
Correct.
Well,
They
maybe
don't
we
care
raise the
'cause they
cost
don't
of the
pay it
fine.
anyway. Okay?
The fine is set at $500 per day. Again, we can't force that, the magistrate does. He's the one that sets the
I
fines
think,
ultimately.
I think my report might be doing the opposite. It's telling everybody, if you want your yard to turn into junk, just let it go and don't pay it. But
They do.
that's not the message at all, but this is,
And believe me, we feel the same frustration. We get the same phone calls from the residents that are very upset, but where are the limitations of what we could do?
I get it. All
So
right,
you're
well.
better off with an abandoned home where we can
There
do
you go.
something.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Than someone that's
It's not,
just
it's
a slog.
occupied. Okay, well, maybe I'll look into, see if other boroughs have some other type of action and report back to council.
And I'm sorry to belabor this anymore, but so, Mr. Hugus, so within an abandoned home, are we still in the same boat? Because there's, someone owns the home somewhere, even if they live out of state, I mean, they might just ignore,
Typically, abandoned homes are foreclosures where somebody had walked away from the mortgage or from a death, that there's no
There's
will.
no more relatives.
So we can basically go in and do what we want to do and lien the property.
but what if we have a home that no one lives in, there is an owner, and they're not maintaining it?
We'll go through the same
Just
process.
the
We'll go through the citation process, go to the magistrate. Nobody shows up, they're found guilty. And if it's a perpetual thing, then we'll go in and take action on the property. In this case, somebody lives here.
Right.
And if they're living there and you show up to tow their car or clean their yard and they say, get out, you're on private property.
Will the magistrate not go beyond citations? Do we know of any cases?
I mean,
where
that's
they go
the only
beyond?
way they,
That's his jurisdiction. He doesn't have any other jurisdiction.
I'll do some more research.
But taxes, like, do you ever compare people that are,
I don't get into taxes.
We're back into the
I'm gonna
school district because they're.
be the name of the tax collector? Maybe you could ask him.
He's a little guy.
Ed, run it.
That was just the first subject.
Okay, go ahead.
Continue.
I wanted to thank Chief Cole for the breakdown he gave us on the police department activities for the year, or for the month. I also wanted to thank Mike Adams and the road department. They've answered several calls for service for me and issues over the past month, and have done a good job. Next to last is, I'm going to request that the administration please send an information letter out to the residents of McClure Road and neighboring streets up there to let them know what our council's plan is for McClure Road. Once they call me and hear it, they understand, but not everybody watches the meeting, and I guess it hasn't gotten any, if not no press on it. And I would hope that the Times Express could maybe put something in the article in the paper to inform them on our intentions to permanently repair that road the break of the weather next year, both for budget purposes and now is not the time to start ripping it up, let alone financial issues. So I was hoping maybe we could just send out a brief information letter to those people so they know we don't intend on leaving it like it is, because it's in bad shape.
Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow. Paul, when are the pavers going to start?
I'll get you the details.
Okay, all right.
Anything else, Ron?
One last thing, I know you're not going to like hearing this, but are you, as the council and the manager, aware that you can buy snowfall insurance?
Go on.
I know, I didn't believe it either, but they actually sell snowfall insurance, so when bad snows hit, you're actually insured for it because you go over budget on manpower and salt. And the example is a community, you all know how bad New England got hit this past year. This community had snowfall insurance, which means they paid anything over 70 inches. Well, they had 124 inches of snow. So the insurance reimbursed them $40,000, and the premium was only $8,000, so they actually got $32,000 to the good. And the premium for the year was $8,000. And I'm just
40 grand
saying,
isn't much, that's like one half a round, and
now, the policies depend, the lower you make the snowfall, the higher the premium gets. I mean, but it's right here, and,
Well, would you like to recommend that the manager look into this so that
I mean, it
we have
may
an
be worth
idea
our-
what's going on?
we get one of those years, and we may find it worth our while. But there's a very good article here about it, and it says the point of the insurance is to help stabilize your municipal budget. So the examples are, option one was 60 inches or more, cost $14,000. Option two was 65 inches or more, would cost $11,000, and option three was 70 inches or more, was $8,700. Now, I'm sure that all depends on how much territory they're covering, but we have many times gone into way over salt budgets and overtime budgets for, clearing snow, and I think this might be something to consider.
I'll look into it.
Other than that, my condolences to Tina Mueller and the loss of her mother, and I'm done.
Once again, I'm going to be a little long-winded, but I'll try to speak quickly. Monroeville Convention Center, Saturday, August 15th, wine, beer, spirits, and comedy show. August 14th through the 16th, Mac Arts Show. Just Between Friends, August 20th through the 23rd. Showmasters Gun Show is August 21st and 22nd. The CAMP Coins and More Productions is Friday, August 28th through the 30th. Coming on September 2nd is the 11th Annual Celebrate Monroeville, sponsored by the Monroeville Area Chamber of Commerce. Tickets are $5 for adults. Children are free under 5. It goes on at the Convention Center from 4 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. There's a phone number you can reach by 412-856-0622, and it is also on our website. August 29th, Tall Trees Amphitheater. Rivertime Brewing is going to present Rhythm and Brews featuring Rusted Roots. It's going to be quite a show from everything I've been hearing. General admission tickets are $50, $80 VIP tickets. You get a lot to go with that. VIP and general admission tickets are available online at www.showclicks.com. Check out Rivertown Brewing for more information. And I would like to real quickly say attaboy to our Chief Cole and his staff of police officers. I had the pleasure, all my years of running around with policemen in my lifetime, I've never had the pleasure of sitting at a DUI checkpoint. I was there the other night for about 3 hours, and let me tell you something, it was pretty interesting. I saw some things that I just couldn't even believe. Not only our police force, but we had some other communities there, and they did a great job. And I'd just like to say, Doug, God bless you. I don't know how you do all that stuff. Besides that, one other thing, my condolences out to Tina Mueller and her family, and I'm done.
Paul?
I just have a quick announcement. The library, their Victorian Teen Fashion Show is Sunday, August 30th. Starts at 12 o'clock at the Pitcairn Park Building. Tickets $25, and you can purchase them at the library. That's all I have for tonight.
Steve?
Yeah, the Municipal Water and Sewer Authority asked me to announce a few things. The authority has completed the installation of a 12-inch iron ductile pipe on Elliott Road. All paving and yards have been repaired, but they may require a second seeding. So if the residents see the yards are not growing, to notify the authority. And work is to be completed on the Brookside Drive 12-inch water line in approximately 3 weeks. There will be some minor traffic interruptions for residents during this installation. Completion of this project will result in the elimination of 4,000 feet of 12-inch cast iron pipe that has caused numerous interruptions on Route 22 corridor in the recent years. So they're eliminating that whole 4,000-yard portion that's been pretty bad. And lastly, the authority would like to remind all residents that they can opt into paperless billing by signing up for the e-billing on the MMA website at www.monroevillewater.org. And lastly, my condolences to the Mueller family on their loss. And that's all I have.
Tom?
Yes. My condolences to Tina and her family. I'd like to ask Tim to confirm this, but has Pitcairn Road, will it be reopened tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask that, too.
Yeah, Pitcairn Road will be reopened tomorrow. That's all, thank you.
Hallelujah.
Yeah,
After what, almost 2 years?
I'm done, thanks.
And that was one of the issues, since nobody brought it up, I was definitely going to say that, and you're right, it's almost 2 years, so hallelujah is right. And to the Tina Mueller family, obviously, heartfelt condolences, and with that, I'll seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you and good night.